Life, or even large organizations, often seem steady until the numbers or circumstances reveal otherwise. What once appeared unshakable can suddenly show signs of strain. In the world of large ministries, financial health is a clear indicator of underlying stability. At first glance, revenues, donations, and outreach efforts may all seem on track, but small shifts can cascade into larger challenges, especially when systems are built for continuous growth. Understanding these dynamics requires examining both external changes and internal structures. Pressure doesn't always indicate collapse, but it does demand thoughtful response and adaptation. The flywheel of growth. For decades, the ministry's financial model was straightforward: create content, reach people, and receive support to expand reach further. Television broadcasts, radio programs, conferences, and books formed a self-reinforcing flywheel of donations and engagement. As audiences grew, so did income, which then funded more outreach. Surpluses built a strong reserve, and net assets steadily increased. This system thrived on momentum, relying on predictable income streams and a loyal supporter base. It was a cycle that seemed nearly automatic, and as long as each component functioned, the organization continued growing with confidence and stability. Early signs of change. Large systems rarely fail overnight. They often slow gradually before difficulties become visible in financial statements. At first, daily operations seemed unaffected. Programs aired, conferences continued, and supporters contributed. Yet small pressures quietly accumulated. Post-pandemic shifts, rising operational costs, and changes in donor behavior began to challenge the model. What once worked flawlessly now required adaptation. Detecting these early signals is essential, as minor imbalances in income versus expenses can magnify quickly, revealing vulnerabilities in even the most robust organizations. Pandemic impact and donor behavior. During the pandemic, many organizations saw temporary increases in donations. Homebound supporters had more time to engage. Online platforms expanded audiences, and uncertainty often encourages giving. However, once society reopened, that surge faded. Donations returned to more typical levels, creating a natural plateau in revenue. At the same time, operational costs didn't decrease. Rising expenses such as production, travel, and salaries began to compress margins. The combination of slowing income and persistent expenses marks the first stage of financial strain in systems once designed for steady growth. Media shifts and audience engagement. Television once dominated ministry outreach, creating loyal, long-term donors. But younger generations consume media differently, favoring short-form content on digital platforms rather than scheduled broadcasts. While digital media offers enormous reach, converting online viewers into recurring supporters is more challenging. The shift from traditional media also affects fundraising models built on long-term commitments. A declining television audience and changing media habits signal that the old system may no longer support the same momentum, forcing organizations to reconsider strategies to engage and retain donors effectively. Aging donor base. Another key factor is the aging supporter base. Longtime donors have contributed consistently over decades, forming the financial backbone of the ministry. However, younger generations often prefer giving in different ways: short-term campaigns, micro-donations, or digital engagement. This generational change alters the predictability of revenue streams, making the previous model less sustainable. Organizations that fail to adapt risk a mismatch between their traditional systems and the new behaviors of potential supporters, creating pressure on both financial stability and operational planning. The shift in financial reality. 2 years ago, the ministry ended the year with a surplus of $15 million. Today, reports show an $18 million deficit. Revenues have slowed to $104 million, while expenses climbed past $122 million. Net assets fell from roughly $77 million to under $60 million, partly due to withdrawals from long-term reserves. While operations continue, this shift signals a reliance on savings to fund daily activity. The financial change, a swing of more than $30 million in a short period, highlights the fragility of a system built on growth rather than adaptability. Operational pressure funding operations from reserves is not necessarily catastrophic, but it marks a turning point. The ministry's cushion, once a symbol of strength, is thinning. When long-term funds are used to cover ongoing expenses, organizations face choices: cut costs, restructure, or innovate revenue streams. Pressure, rather than scandal, is the defining factor. The challenge is structural: how to reconcile rising costs, changing donor patterns, and media evolution. Responding effectively requires careful planning, strategic adjustments, and leadership willing to guide the organization through a transitional phase while maintaining mission integrity. Structural challenges. Large organizations built during the television era face unique challenges. Studios, production teams, and contracts were designed for long-form programs and consistent income streams. Scaling down infrastructure or converting to digital-first models requires experimentation and time. Transitioning between old and new systems creates a period of uncertainty, where the traditional model loses momentum before the new one is fully operational. Organizations must navigate this overlap carefully to maintain operations and donor engagement, balancing the need for efficiency with innovation in outreach strategies. Leadership and legacy leadership continuity is another critical factor. Founders or long-serving leaders create organizational identity and influence that is difficult to replace. Future stability may depend on both financial innovation and capable leadership able to carry the mission forward. Strategic decision-making becomes essential when pressures appear in the system. Maintaining vision, guiding adaptation, and inspiring donor confidence require leaders who understand the legacy of the organization while embracing the necessity of change. Without this balance, even a historically successful ministry can struggle to maintain momentum. Pathways. Forward, facing these challenges, the ministry has several options: reducing costs, reshaping media strategies, or prioritizing digital engagement are all possible paths. Each option demands thoughtful implementation, testing, and adjustment. The organization must balance the need for operational efficiency with mission-driven priorities, ensuring outreach programs and conferences continue serving supporters and beneficiaries. Experimentation and adaptability become central to long-term sustainability. Pressures, while daunting, also create opportunity for innovation, allowing the organization to evolve and maintain relevance in a rapidly changing environment. Financial signals, not predictions. Recent deficits and declining reserves do not predict failure. They are signals prompting reflection and action. Financial numbers reveal the speed and scale of change but cannot alone determine outcomes. They highlight structural pressures, offering an opportunity to adjust strategy, refine systems, and rethink engagement models. Recognizing these signals early allows organizations to act proactively rather than reactively, maintaining mission focus while adapting to external and internal shifts. Conclusion: adaptation and resilience. In both personal life and organizational management, pressure is a signal, not a verdict. Systems built on growth encounter limits, requiring reassessment, innovation, and resilience. Adaptation involves identifying structural shifts, responding to changing behavior, and recalibrating strategies to ensure continued effectiveness. Leadership, vision, and willingness to embrace new models are critical. Even under pressure, organizations can maintain mission, reach, and purpose, ensuring stability not through past success, but through forward-looking action and thoughtful adaptation. Growth may change, but sustainability is achievable with insight and flexibility.